Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic on an absolutely filthy day here in the UK. We're being bashed and battered by Storm Arwen, apparently, and she is very fierce indeed. Anyway, we're going to cheer ourselves up by having a look at a puzzle by two great friends of the channel, actually, and two great friends in real life. This puzzle on screen is by Ictus and Florian Wortman, who actually met in real life as a result of their sort of virtual friendship struck up on the CTC Discord server. So this is a great story. They met up in Zurich and created this Sudoku as a result. And apparently this Sudoku, I'll show you a picture, it's sort of themed on the background image from the logo for the CTC fan server. If you look carefully in the background there's a 17 cage, a 2, an arrow, and I think that's an 8 cage. And if we go back to the diagram, we've got the 8 cage, we've got the 2, the arrow, and the 17 cage. So they've sort of taken that as the template around which to build a Sudoku, and apparently they did it by taking turns. So first one of them would add, I don't know, that cage in, or no, that cage was probably given as a result of the logo, maybe this arrow in, and then somebody else added this cage in, and they went backwards and forwards, and they have produced what our testers say is a really beautiful and genuinely approachable puzzle. And it includes a knight's move constraint, which I'm delighted about, given of course that it is the World Chess Championship going on at the moment between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepomniachtchi. So hopefully our knight's moves will be at least up to the standard of theirs, and we can be proud of that. Now actually let's go back to the picture. I'll tell you who's who. This is Florian on the left, that's Ictus on the right. And I just think it's wonderful that, you know, real people are making real friendships as a result of cracking the cryptic. It fills me with a bit of joy. The only other thing I want to mention before I read you the rules of this one is that yesterday we released SUDOKU PAD on Windows for the first time. So you can go and download it on Steam, and that allows you to put your own classic Sudokus into our software and play them. You can keep a record, so if you're trying a puzzle from the channel and you can load it up, you'll keep a perfect record of exactly how many you've solved and what your position was in each of them. And we obviously we publish bonus puzzles as well on Twitter for SUDOKU PAD users from time to time, and we released one of those yesterday in fact as well, and that was by who was it by? Neo Vortex, I think. And yeah, that's been getting a lot of nice feedback, so check that out if you're a SUDOKU PAD owner. Now, all that said and done, let's get on with this one. It's called Discord, and the rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage, and digits cannot repeat within a cage, so those 4 cells add up to 17 and don't repeat digits in the cage. Digits along an arrow must sum to the digit in that arrow's circle. So these 2 digits there, you'd add them up. Let's make them 1 and 5, for example. That would make this a 6, and that would be a valid way of filling that arrow. And then cells separated by a knight's move in chess cannot contain the same digits. So let's look at this 8 in the sorry, excuse me. Let's look at this 8 in the middle. If this is a chess knight, it could jump to all of these cells, and therefore none of these cells could contain an 8 in this puzzle. If they do, you've got an 8 a knight's move away from itself, and that's illegal. So don't do that, you'll get the puzzle wrong. Now, do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And the first thing I can see is an 8 cage has to contain a 1. So it's either 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5. I don't think this 2 sees enough by way of knight's moves to help us there. We've got an enormous cage down here in the bottom of the grid. Let's take a quick look at this, because this is an 8-cell cage, and because of the secret we know something therefore about this cage. The secret of course is that if you add up the digits 1 to 9 you will get 45. So because digits cannot repeat within a cage, this is a collection of 8 different digits adding up to 37. Well, we know if it was a 9-cell cage, if it was 1 cell larger, it would add to 45. So the missing digit must be the difference between 45 and 37, which is 8. So there is no 8 in this cage. So there's the 8 in box 9 must be in one of 3 places. And that's interesting because now this cell, look, it either is an 8 or there is an 8 on its arrow and it's bigger than 8. Now there's only one digit we can put in there that would be bigger than 8. So that square is an 8 or a 9. And it doesn't actually see that quite by Knight's Move. It's not far away. Okay, there's a 3-cell arrow here, which I should have spotted immediately, but for some reason managed to miss. So the minimum we could put on this arrow would be a 1, 2, 3 triple. 1 plus 2 plus 3 add up to 6. So this square here has got to be at least equal to 6. Just wondering whether we can do anything with the Knight's Move constraint and the fact that this cell, for example, does not... Yeah, it can't appear in any of those 3 squares because of the Knight's Move constraint. So these are 4 different digits. Now, is that a 5th? No. I was gonna see if I could argue that all 5 of those digits had to be different, in which case we'd have been able to say that this couldn't have been a 6 or a 7 anymore, because these would have had to add up to at least 15, the triangular number for 5. 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. But we can't do that, because this little cell, rather annoyingly, can't go in those squares, obviously can't go here, but it could go here. So there can be a repeated digit on these in these cells, so we can't actually do anything there that's particularly clever. But we do have a syzygy. We have a syzygy, look, an alignment of the planets between this cell and this cell. And why is that interesting? Well, it's because of the arrows that emanate from the 2 planets. They're occupying 5 cells of row 5. In other words, they have to be 5 different digits. And 5 different digits, we've just said, is at least 15. So these 2 planets have to add up to at least 15, which means this square has got to be a 6, 7, 8 or 9 as well to go with its friend. And I've just noticed, somewhat peculiarly, that there is an 8 there. So neither of those squares can be an 8. Because of the Knight's Move constraint. So there now must be a 9 in one of them, because these can't be a 6-7 pair, because then they'd only add up to 13. So we are getting somewhere. If this was a 9, this would be an 8. If that's a 9, does it break this? No, it doesn't actually. If that's a 9, those 3 squares would have to add up to 8. And that looks possible to me. I don't think this 2 is doing enough damage, or nearly enough damage, to affect that conclusion. Okay. So now we're getting stuck. What is it that we're missing here? Yeah, okay. 1 can't go on that arrow because of the Knight's Move constraint. That's rather pretty, actually. So if you try and put a 1 in either of these squares, you can no longer put a 1 in the 8 cage because of the Knight's Move. A 1 here rules a 1 out from this square as well as the normal Sudoku squares. A 1 here does the same thing. So there's no 1 on in this domino. Now there must be a 1 along the 5 cells of row 5, because if there isn't, the minimum we could make those cells add up to would be 20. And the way I do that is a bit peculiar. I actually take the triangular number for 6, which is 21, and I deduct 1 from it to find out what the minimum number is for 5 cells, not including a 1. So that's just a trick if you want to add the numbers up quickly. So these would add up to at least 20, which is impossible because of the syzygy. You cannot make those 2 squares add up to 20, no matter how hard you try, if you're going to obey the rules of Sudoku. So we do know there's a 1 in one of those squares, and we now know it's in one of those 3 cells, which means that cell is not a 1, and this cell is not a 1. But unfortunately, I think 6, 7 and 9 are all still possible. 6 would be 1, 2, 3. That would be a 9, 4, 5. Aha! Right, that's beautiful. Okay, I don't know which of Ictus and Florian came up with this, but this is very, very cute. That cannot be a 6, Because if it is, these squares would be 1, 2 and 3, but more importantly this would be a 9, and this domino would have to add up to 9 without using 1, 2 and 3, which would mean it's a 4, 5 pair. Now why do I think this is problematic? Well, it's because we worked out that these two squares see the whole of the 8 cage. Now there are only two ways of making 8 in three cells, 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5. Now neither of those is now possible if this is a 4, 5 domino. So that tells us this square is not a 6. So if this is a 7, we'd have 1, 2, 4 on this, and this would be 3, 6, and this would be 1, 2, 5, and that 2 doesn't do enough damage to rule itself out of the cage. So that works. If this is 7, this is 9, and this is 3, 6. And if that's 9, it could be 1, 2, 6 or 1, 3, 5. But then this could be 6 or 7. Although if it's 6, it couldn't have... Oh, good grief. Right, okay. No, this is even cleverer than I'd realised, because not only does this arrow rule 6 out of that cell, this square also cannot be a 6. This is beautiful. If this is a 6, there are two ways of making 6 on this domino. 1, 5, which doesn't work because we couldn't put a 1 in the 8 cage, or, get this, 2, 4. And that breaks just as 4, 5 broke, 2, 4 breaks, because of course this is just using the other bit of the possible 1, 2, 5 cage. So if we put 2 in here, you can't put 1, 2, 5 in here, just as when we put 5 in here, you couldn't put 1, 2, 5 in here. And you obviously, if it's got a 4 in it, you can't put 1, 3, 4 in it. So that doesn't work either. So this cell is now not a 6. Whoopsie, not a 6. So now these are a 7, 9 pair. Whoops, I want to get rid of that corner pencil mark. Which means these squares are adding up to 16, which means we know what they are. They've got to be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6. And we know the 1 is not over this side. And we know the 2 is not over this side because 2 plus 5 and 2 plus 7 are not available to make the possible totals. And we know this isn't 4 plus 6 because 4 plus 6 equals 10, and this definitely doesn't equal 10. So this definitely includes a 3, which means they don't include a 3. So this is a 1 and a 2, and either a 4 or a 6 to make 7 or 9. And neither of these squares can now be a 1 or a 2. Because of the knight's move constraint. So let's make sure we've got that labelled up clearly. The rest of this row has got to be 5, 7 and 9. Right, that's given rise to a 5, 7, 9 triple in box 5 look, the 5 of which is definitely in one of those two cells. So that square cannot be a 5 anymore. There's a 3 in this domino, so that tells us the 8 cage is 1, 2, 5, because it can't be 1, 3, 4 anymore. The 2 comes out of this square. Wow, okay. And we pause for breath. Now, can we go further? That's the question. What have we now... So we know that if this is a 7, this is 1, 2, 4. This has to be a different digit. But, oh, I see that we could put 3 here, for example, and then that could be 4 with a 4 here, and it would work. Okay. Yeah, it's sort of tempting to think that's impossible, because my natural inclination when I see 5 cells is to go, whoa, you can't make them add up to 14. But you can here, because of course that can repeat on this arrow. So we need to look for something else. I'm having the sensation I had yesterday when we're doing the Bubba Is You stream. Thanks very much if you watched that, by the way. We were really, it was amazing. We had Hempuli, the creator of the game, in the chat, and we had Aliens Rock, big YouTuber, very famous for tackling puzzle games. Was also in the chat. Amazing. And Yeah, Mark and I think managed to solve about 12 puzzles in 2 hours, which felt like it was abominably slow, but people seemed to say it was okay. I'm not sure where to look now. Can I make more work from this big cage down here? Not clear how we do that, to be honest. We've got to... We know there's no 8 in this cage, so there's no 8 in this domino. There's no 8 there, there's no 8 there. So the 8 in box 8 is restricted a little bit. But not, I don't think enough. What about 8 up there? Can you put 8 into this square? The answer is no. No, it is, yeah, it is no. You can't put 8 in here, because 8 plus 7 would be 15, and you'd have to put double 1 into the other 2 cells. So 8 is actually restricted to one of 2 cells in box 2. And it can't go in the 17 cage. So 8 is in one of 4 cells in box 3. Yeah, I've got it. I've got it. Right, now look at this. 8 in the middle box can't go in those squares. So 8 in box 6 is in one of 4 positions, and this ordinarily wouldn't be exciting at all. But now we've actually ruled 8 out of all 6 of those cells. So we now know that the 8 in box 9 has to be in column 7, and we know it can't be in the 37 cage, so it's got to go here. That means that square's not an 8 because of the knight's move condition. Yeah, and this is interesting as well. This square can't be an 8 because it would rule the remaining 3 places out for 8 in box 6. So that's not an 8. So we're down to... Oh, if 8's on the arrow, that has to be a 9. Oh, and if 8 is on the arrow, you can't put the 1 here because that will rule the 1 out of these squares. So this is very restricted all of a sudden. So if this is a 1-8 arrow, the 8 would go here, and the 8 would go here. Yeah, okay, so what we can deduce from that is that that's never an 8, because you'd have to put a 1 there. So we've actually got the 8 down to just 2 places in box 3. And if it was here, you'd get an 8 there. Oh, it doesn't work. Right, this is lovely. Right, this is not an 8. Why is this not an 8? It might actually be easier to think about it from the point of view of box 6. If this is 8, where does the box 6 8 go? Well, it can't go here because of the knight's move, and it can't go here because of Sudoku. So it goes there. Now, this can't be an 8 because it's a knight's move away from the middle. So the 8 in box 4 goes here. And now, you can't put an 8 in box 1 anywhere. Can't go there because of these 8s. Can't go there because of this 8. And it definitely can't go there because there's going to be an 8 in this position. So that's not an 8, which means this is an 8 on the line. It must be accompanied by a 1. That's got to be a 9. That's now a 7. And we are suddenly cooking with gas. That's an 8. We've ruled out of these 2 squares. This arrow is now exactly equal to 1, 2, 6, isn't it? Which means we can take 6 out of those squares and get a 3, 4 pair. 7 here means those 2 squares aren't 7 anymore. So now we got a 7 in row 5 forced. We can place 1 in our 8 cage now because of this 1. So that's 1, that's 5, that's 2. Wow, and we're suddenly, oh now look at the 17 cage. 3 cells have got to add up to 8 and we can't put 2 into any of them. So this is 1, 3, 4, and the 1 here tells us the order. 1 goes here, this is a 3, 4 pair, not a 4, 5 pair, Simon. 1 in this string is fixed because of the knight's move constraint. 1 goes there. So 1 in box 5 is forced. Knight's move removes it from that one. Sudoku from that one. One's got to go there. So 1 is in one of 2 places in this box. Now if 1 was here, it's going to be restricted in terms of it would be forced onto the arrow. Which is where it could be. That's almost feels likely. If that's a 1, because you can't repeat 1 in the cage, 1 is forced into this domino where it would be a 1-7 pair, and the 1 couldn't go there, so it would have to go here. But I don't know it's here, it just looks likely that it's there. What about... No, I was about to say 1 in box 1, that's not fixed. 2, yeah, 2 in box, this box. It can't go there, and it can't go here by knight's move. So we are using our knights like world champions here. This is actually getting us somewhere. 2, we can place 2 by knight's move again in box 5. Those 2 see each other, so the 2 gets placed. That resolves the 2 and the 6. This is gorgeous. 2 comes out of that cell. Ooh, 2 can't go on this arrow because then it would need a 6 with it. So 2 is in one of 3 positions, I think, in box 9. So there's no 2 in this domino because it would then repeat in the cage. There's no 2 in those cells. There's no 2 in those cells. So 2 is in this domino. This feels very close to being forced somehow, doesn't it? I don't know that it is, though. Well, okay, I can get rid of that one as being a 2 as a result of this, because once the 2's locked into that domino, you can't put a 2 here anymore, because it would rule the 2 out. So 2 is in the bottom row of box 9, which means 2 is in one of 2. Good grief. Right, where does 2 go in box 7? Well, it's not there by Sudoku, and it's not here by Sudoku, and it's not there or there. It's not in this domino because that would rule the 2 out of these 2 squares. So 2 is in one of 2 places, which removes the 2 from there and places it in box 8, which places it, because of the knight's move constraint, in box 9, which places it, of course, in box 3. How many 2s have I got left to do? Is it just this little pattern here? I think it is. Wow, okay. That definitely felt unexpected. What do we need in this column now? 5, 6 and 7. Don't know if we can do that. Although, I can't make this a 5-7 pair, can I? Oh, and I couldn't anyway because of the 6 here. I was going to say this can't be a 5-7 pair because then I couldn't fill this arrow. Can I get rid of a 5 from this cell? Don't know. So this arrow is either 1-7, which has to be this way round, or it's 3-5, and it has to be either way round. I'm not sure how to resolve that, to be honest. So where should we look next? What are the weak bits of this puzzle? I tell you one thing I'm thinking. These 2 squares have got to make an appearance in this box, don't they? Oh, good grief. This square is huge. I didn't realise, but look, where does this square go in box 9? It can't repeat in its own cage, and it can't be a knight's move away from itself. It's got to go there. So this well, that's a relief. This square is a 3, 5 or a 7, but it actually doesn't see any of those in the column. So we don't know what this digit is. But then I suppose this digit, that can't be an 8, and it can't repeat within its cage, and it can't be red because it sees red next to it. So that square and that square are the same digit as well. So this square is a 1, 3 or a 5. And again, that's really surprising, but doesn't seem to be resolved. Right, so now we're properly getting stuck, aren't we? There's a 3-4 pair in row 4. This 3-4 needs to find a home in this row. So it's got to be those 2 squares, look, because that's the only spaces available. Now that means those 2 squares are 5 and 6. We don't know the order. Now we know these 3 squares, though. They've got to be 2, 8 and 9. And that can't be an 8. Which... Hang on, how can that be a 2? It can't be a 2 either. That's a 9. Wow, okay. So now we've got a 2-8 pair out of nowhere in box 4. We've got a 9 here which isn't seeing the 5-9 pair. These squares have got to be 3, 4 or 6 to complete the box. And we can... What can we do now? We can argue that... I have no idea what we can do now, by the way. I have not got a clue. I'm just staring at this, trying desperately to see something and failing miserably. Okay. I don't even really have a good feel. And this is the part of solving where I get nervous, is that when I really don't have a good feel for where I should look next. Because I sort of think we've really done some damage with the clues that we've got. I can't think this is going to be terribly important, is it? Famous last words. I mean, I can see that the circle here can't be a 7 or an 8, but it still seems to be able to be 9 or 6 or a variety of lower digits as well. Yeah, I don't like the look of that, so we're going to have to find something else. Oh, I know what. This 2 has forced a 1 onto this arrow because of the 1s here. So this is, if this has got a 1 on it, we know where the 1 goes. It's green. So that's a 1, that's a 7, and that's a 7. Okay, that felt important. 1 is now in one of 2 places in box 7. What about 7? 7 is in one of 2 places in box 7. And one of 2 places in box 6. 3, 4, 5 and 9. Ah, 3, 4. There's a 3, 4 pair now in this column. That's got to be a 3 or a 4. So this is a 5 or a 7. And this at the top is a 5, 9 pair. This is a 6, 7 pair. This 9 sees this. Ah, here we go. 5 and 9 go into box 3. Which means that... these 2 squares can't be 3s or 4s now because of this 3, 4 domino. So this square can't be a 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 or 7 or 8. That square is a 6 or a 9, I think. That's the only things it can be, which is quite surprising. Now this square is also similarly restricted because of this 3, 4 pair and the fact that this, if this is a 3 or a 4, you could put a 3 or a 4 in neither of those squares. So this is also not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be 6, 7. Ah, this one can't be 9 because of the 9s in the middle box. So that one is 6 or 7. It's so close, isn't it? I feel that's so close to being resolved, but I don't think it is. Okay. What about this column then? What have we not placed in the column? We have not even pencil marked 5 yet. Yeah, okay, that's good. Where does 5 go in this column? It can't go here because that sees a 5 in the middle box. It can't go in any of those squares, so 5 goes in the top digit. That's the world's most useless 5, though. Oh, although I'm maligning this 5 slightly unfairly, because that does reveal, I think, where 9 goes in this column now. That can't be 9, that can't be 9, you can't put 9 in the middle. Yeah, 9 goes here, 9 goes here on the left-hand side. Good grief, and 9 is now placed down in box 7. These 9s, that one sees this one by knight's move, and you can't put 9 on an arrow because this square can't be a 10. So that's a 9. 9 is in a domino in box 9, and 9 is in a... no. Ooh, no, I can't see how to do it. It's in a triple in box 8. Now this circle can't be 5, it can't be 7, 8 or 9. So this circle now has to be a relatively low digit. It's got to be at least 3 because I can't put less than 1, 2 on the arrow. So it's a 3, 4, 5 or 6. But look at this 3, 4 pair. That's going to be very difficult. Yeah, this is... Well, I can certainly get rid of 4 and 5 from this. This is really clever. Again, I don't know which of you thought of this, Ictus or Florian, but this is really a very nice idea because it's such a short arrow. I've almost given it no credence here. But how do we fill this when you can't put 3 or 4 in either of these squares? Well, you can't make this 4 anymore because it would be a 1, 3 arrow and you couldn't then put 3 in purple. It can't be a 5 here anymore because it would either be a 2, 3 arrow, ruling 3 out, or a 1, 4 arrow, ruling 4 out. So this is a 3 or a 6. It's either a 2 and then a 1, which might be possible. That's not a 1 anymore, I'm noticing, because of the 1 we've got there. Or it's a 6 and it's a 2... Oh, it's not 2, 4 because that would rule... it's not 1, 5. You can't put 1 or 5 in this square. So this square, this is amazing. It's an amazing arrow. It's amazing that that can be limited to a 3 at this point in the puzzle. Just as a combination of this 3, 4 domino and these 3 digits ruling out the high digit. I love that. That's really, really elegant setting. So hang on, what's this done? Yes, that gives us a 2 and an 8 above it. This gives us a 1 here, which places a 1 up there. How many 1s have we got in the grid? All of them. So, okay, we get all the 1s and all the 2s as a result of this. What about 3s? No, we don't get all the 3s. 3 has to be in one of 2 places here. This 7 is removing 7 from those squares. They've become a 5, 6 pair. So that must be a 7, that must be a 5. These squares are a 3, 4, 9 triple, and we can remove 9 from there, 3 from there. Now what do we do? We can argue that... I don't know, this column again, 3, 4, 6 or 7, that's got to be a 3. Yes, okay, of course, yeah, that's a 7 by Sudoku, that's an easy win. So this square here is 3, 4 or 6. I can't see if that's resolved. It's famous last words. I am really staring at it trying to see if it's got a 3, a 4 or a 6, looking at it by Knight's Move, and I am getting nowhere. Oh, what about those squares? Oh, they're 3, 4, 6 as well. There's loads of 3, 4s and 6s everywhere. Yeah, okay. We might have to do some colouring here. I'm quite tempted. The 3s and 4s are interesting because those 3s and 4s see each other by Knight's Move, as do those. So maybe that is what we do next. So this square, let's make that one purple now. That's different from this one. So we'll make that blue, and I'll get rid of the 1, 7 colouring at the bottom. So that must be blue. Blue sees this square, which now must be purple, which we could have got from there. That's got to be blue. This, oh yeah, look, that one can't be the same as that one. So that's purple, that's blue. Is that enough? Yes, I can now place purple, look, because of the Knight's Move preventing it from being here. I can place it in box 5. Blue has... Oh, blue I can place in box 1. I was about to say it has to be in the top domino. I can actually place it. It's got to go there. That's gorgeous. Is that right? Hang on, let me just think about that. Blue... Yes, it is right. So that's a 3 or a 4. But now this cannot be blue. These can't be blue. So that's blue. And it's not a 6. So now blue is over here. Yeah, and where does purple go in this box now? Can't go there because of Knight's Move. So purple is up here. Oh, that's on a pencil marked 8 cell, so that can definitely not be 8 anymore. 8 must go here. So 8's not there anymore. So 8's in this domino. Is that useful? And I've got a 3-4 pair here. So this square's got to be a 6 now. This square is not a 6 because it's a purple domino. So the 6 in box 5 is now forced to be here. The 6 in box 8 can't be there because of the knight's move, so it's got to be above it. This square now, oh, this is nice. This square is a 3 or a 4 now, and it's not blue, so that's purple. Yeah, gorgeous. Where does purple go in box 1? Not there, and not here by knight's move, so that's become purple. And that is beautiful because this square sees a 3 in its column. So purple is now 4. That's what we've just learnt. Oh, hang on. Purple is 4. Blue is 3. Therefore, that becomes blue down there. Now, can we keep... That becomes a 4 just by Sudoku of all things. Fancy doing Sudoku in a Sudoku puzzle. It's ridiculous. Now, oh, look at these squares. So that's a 6-7 pair at the top of that column. Whoops, 6-7. That's got to be an 8. I've got a deadly pattern of 6s and 7s. Oh, no, I don't. I've got a 6 in one of these two squares, which is seeing this one, or that 6. You can take your choice. So that's a 7, that's a 6, that's a 7, that's a 6. So now, what do we need down this column? We need 5, 6, and 8. And we've got an 8 here, so there's actually only one place the 8 can go. That's 8, that's not, this isn't 8, the one above it is an 8. That's got to be a 5 or a 6, that's got to be a 5 or a 6, that's a 5-6 pair in this row. So this is a 3 or a 4, we now know it's a 3. Let me just, I think we do know that from Sudoku, I'm just wondering whether I can double prove it by thinking about this digit. Let's have a look at this column, we need 3, 5 and 9. So, I don't know, actually. I can't see immediately how to rule 3 out of that square. But I think, yeah, okay, we will do it using the bottom row then. We've got a 5-6 pair, so we must have a 3-4 pair here. And this is a 4. So that's got to be 3, that's got to be 4, that's got to be 9, that's got to be 3. We get 2 more blue 3s as a result. We get 1 purple 4. Have we done all the purples we have? Have we done all the blues we have? This square is no longer a 3. So this should be a 5 or a 9. Oh look, we're going to get another sort of deadly pattern going on. And the knight's moves are going to have to be Nepomniachtchi worthy. Come on, how do we do this? Where's the thing looking in to one of these squares? It's going to be a 5 or a 9 or oh, maybe it's a 6. Yes, it's this 6. That 6 is seeing that square. So that's a 5, that's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 5, that's a 5, that's a 6. Now, that's a 5, that's a 9, that's a 9, that's a 5, and we click tick, and that's how to solve a very, very cute puzzle indeed by two of our sort of Discord members who've become friends in real life. I really love the backstory to this, and I tell you what, I really like the Sudoku as well. That was class, it really was. There was a sort of, well, let's think about what there was. There was a very, very clever idea regarding this domino and this 8 cage. That was brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant that you can remove the possibility of 6 in either of these two circles as a result of just sticking an 8 cage above this domino. Quite awesome. Then, I don't know if I did this 8 cage quite right. Well, it's not when I say the 8 cage, I mean the cage missing the 8 down here. But we managed to work out this was a 1-7, didn't we? And it all seemed to lead up to some magic regarding this tiny little arrow here, not having a 9, not having a 7, and not having an 8 in its circle. And then somehow this 3-4 pair works absolute one. So in fact, this is the MVP, isn't it? This 3-4 pair is the MVP of the puzzle, because quite how it did the work it did, well, lost for words. Magnificent. And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.